Discipline is the daily foundation of success. It is the invisible force that quietly powers the most accomplished lives. You might see someone who's successful and think it happened overnight, or that they were simply lucky or had the right connections. But look closer and you'll find something else. The steady hand of discipline guiding their every move. It's not flashy, it's not loud, it's rarely praised, but it's always there, day after day, decision after decision. What does discipline really mean? It means doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like doing it. It means honoring your commitments, not just to others, but especially to yourself. It means choosing long-term reward over short-term comfort. That's not always easy, and it's almost never convenient. But that's exactly why it works. You see, success doesn't respond to wishful thinking. It doesn't show up just because you want it. It shows up when you show up, consistently, relentlessly, and with purpose. And that consistency is built by discipline. You don't become great by doing something once in a while. You become great by doing it every single day, even when nobody's watching, even when you're tired, even when you'd rather do anything else. Discipline is not a moment of strength, it's a habit of strength. It's not the one-time sprint, it's the daily steps. A disciplined life is not created with grand gestures, but with small, seemingly insignificant decisions, repeated over and over again. Getting up a little earlier to plan your day, making the call you've been avoiding, finishing what you start. These are the bricks that build the structure of success. Now, a lot of people think discipline is hard, and it is at first. It's hard to start waking up early. It's hard to resist the temptation to procrastinate. It's hard to stick to your goals when the excitement wears off. But here's the truth. Once you get through the initial resistance, discipline becomes your ally. It becomes easier, not harder. And you start to see the rewards. You feel more in control. You gain confidence. You make progress. And that progress fuels more discipline. It becomes a cycle of growth. Discipline also gives you freedom. That might sound strange, but it's true. When you're disciplined, you're not at the mercy of your moods, your surroundings, or other people's opinions. You take control of your own life. You decide how your time is spent. You set your own standards. And in doing so, you unlock a kind of power that most people never tap into. Without discipline, the best intentions fall apart. You can have a great plan, you can be full of passion, but without the discipline to follow through, it all fades. Ideas are only as good as the actions that bring them to life. And actions are only as consistent as the discipline behind them. That's why discipline is the foundation. Without it, everything else is just theory. And remember, discipline isn't something you're born with. It's something you build. It's like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. And just like a muscle, it can be trained. You start small. You push yourself just a little more each day. You stay consistent, and over time, it becomes part of who you are. It doesn't take a dramatic transformation, just one better choice today than you made yesterday. One more step toward your goals. One less excuse. That's how discipline is built. One moment at a time, and before you know it, you look up and you've created something real, something lasting, something earned. Success doesn't ask for perfection, it asks for effort. And discipline is the effort you give even when you don't feel like it. It's the quiet voice that says, do it anyway. It's the hand that pushes you forward when everything else says stop. And that, more than talent, more than luck, more than opportunity, that is what creates success. Consistent small actions build long-term results. This truth lies at the heart of every meaningful success story. While big, dramatic changes can catch attention, it's the quiet, repetitive steps, the habits you practice each day, that ultimately shape your future. Most people overestimate what they can do in a day and underestimate what they can achieve in a year. The difference is in consistency, not intensity. Think of success like planting a seed. You don't plant a seed today and wake up to a tree tomorrow. First, you water it, you protect it, you give it light. Day after day, often seeing nothing above the surface. But something is happening. Roots are growing. Foundations are forming. The moment the tree finally breaks the ground isn't the result of that one day. It's the result of all the small, unseen actions leading up to that moment. People often ask, what's the secret to success? They expect a magic formula or some breakthrough strategy. But the real answer is usually something simple, repeated consistently. Read a few pages every day. Save a small amount of money every week. Practice your skill for an hour daily. Alone, each act may not seem significant, but compounded over time, these small actions lead to mastery, wealth, growth, and fulfillment. It's the daily choices that define your path, not the occasional breakthroughs. A healthy body isn't made in a single workout. A strong relationship isn't built with one grand gesture. A successful business doesn't appear from one smart decision. These things are earned by showing up every single day, doing the work, and staying committed to the process. And here's where discipline and consistency work hand in hand. Anyone can make a big move once. It's easy to start strong, but staying consistent, especially when the results aren't immediate, that's where character is forged. That's where long-term results are born. Because real success is not an event. It's a process. And processes are built on repeated, intentional action. Consistency is what creates habits. And habits are what sustain success. The power of a habit is that it removes the need for constant motivation. You don't have to decide every day whether to do the right thing. It becomes automatic. The small actions you choose to repeat become part of your identity. Over time, you become the kind of person who reads every day, who eats healthy, who invests wisely, who always follows through. This also means that success is available to anyone willing to be consistent. You don't have to be the most talented. You don't need to have perfect conditions. You just need to keep going. While others are stopping and starting, distracted by every new idea or setback, the person who sticks to their simple, effective routines will always be moving forward. Progress may be slow, but it's steady, and over time, steady always wins. So it's important to understand that small doesn't mean insignificant. Brushing your teeth takes 2 minutes, but skip it for a few weeks and the damage shows. Likewise, reading a page today may not feel like much, but read a page every day for a year, and that's 365 pages, a full book. Learn one new word a day, and by the end of the year, you've expanded your vocabulary by hundreds. That's the compound effect of consistency. But the same rule applies in the opposite direction. Small negative choices repeated over time lead to big problems. Skip one workout, it's no big deal. Skip it for a month, and you've lost momentum. Spend a little more than you earn this week, not a crisis. But do it every week, and soon you're buried in debt. Life rewards and punishes based on what you do regularly, not what you do occasionally. So don't overlook the power of your daily routine. That routine is either building your future or eroding it. Every choice matters. Every action counts. And the beauty of this principle is that you don't have to be extraordinary today. You just have to be consistent. Because long-term results don't come from intensity. They come from persistence. Not from doing it all at once, but from doing a little every day without fail. Discipline outweighs motivation and comfort. This is a truth many people don't want to hear because motivation feels good and comfort is easy. But neither of them will take you very far when life gets tough. Motivation is a spark. It can get you started. But discipline is the engine that keeps you going when the spark fades. And make no mistake, the spark always fades. There's a common trap people fall into. They wait for motivation. They say, I'll start when I feel ready, or I'll take action when I'm inspired. But the reality is, waiting for motivation is like waiting for perfect weather before going outside. It might come once in a while, but it's not reliable. You can't build a successful life on something that comes and goes with your mood, your energy, or the way the world is treating you. You need something stronger, something that stays steady when nothing else does. That something is discipline. Discipline is what shows up when motivation doesn't. It's what gets you out of bed when it's cold, dark, and no one would blame you for sleeping in. It's what keeps you committed when the excitement wears off and the work becomes routine. Motivation might get you to the gym on Monday, but discipline gets you there on Friday when your body is tired, your schedule is full, and no one's watching. That's when discipline proves its value. Comfort is the second enemy in this battle. Comfort tells you to take it easy. It whispers, you've done enough for today. It promises rest, relief, and reward, even when nothing has been earned yet. Comfort wants you to slow down, to relax your standards, to avoid anything hard or inconvenient. But here's the truth. Everything you want in life lives just beyond your comfort zone. Growth, strength, achievement. They don't come from ease. They come from challenge, from pressure, from discomfort. The reason so many people don't reach their goals isn't because they lack ability. It's because they choose comfort over commitment. They give up the long-term prize for the short-term pleasure. Discipline does the opposite. It delays gratification. It says, not now, because I want more later. It teaches you to endure today's effort for tomorrow's reward. And that mindset is what sets successful people apart from those who stay stuck. There's a myth that discipline is about being strict or harsh with yourself. But that's not true. Discipline isn't punishment, it's alignment. It's choosing the actions that match your goals, not your feelings. Feelings come and go. Some days you feel like a champion, other days you don't want to move. Discipline keeps you moving anyway. It creates momentum, and momentum creates progress. People who depend on motivation often live in cycles, starting strong, burning out, quitting, and starting over. But people who rely on discipline create rhythm, and rhythm creates consistency. Discipline helps you push through the boring days, the difficult days, the days when progress is slow. It keeps you rooted in the process, not just the outcome. Because real results are never immediate. They're built over time by those who refuse to quit. Think of anyone who's achieved something meaningful, a top athlete, a successful entrepreneur, a great artist, a wise teacher. You'll find one thing in common: daily discipline. They didn't get where they are because they were always excited or always comfortable. They got there because they made the right choices even when they didn't feel like it. They showed up when others slept in. They worked when others played. They said no to things that most people say yes to, not because they had to, but because they chose to. This is where your power lies, in your ability to choose what's hard now so life can be easier later, in your willingness to sacrifice short-term comfort for long-term success, in your commitment to act not just when it's easy, but especially when it's not. That's the edge. That's the advantage. That's what separates wishful thinking from real transformation. So when you wake up tomorrow and you don't feel motivated, don't worry. You don't need motivation. You need direction. You need commitment. You need discipline. Because motivation may inspire you and comfort may tempt you, but only discipline will carry you across the finish line. Self-respect is shown through disciplined choices. It's one thing to talk about wanting more from life, to speak of goals, dreams, and ambitions, but it's another thing entirely to live in a way that reflects that desire. Discipline is the evidence. It's the daily proof that you take yourself seriously, that you believe in your own potential, that you care enough about your future to do what's hard today. You can't have real self-respect if you're constantly breaking the promises you make to yourself. Every time you say you'll do something and don't, a little part of your confidence fades. Every time you choose ease over effort, your sense of power weakens. It may seem small in the moment, but over time it adds up. You begin to trust yourself less. You begin to question your ability to follow through. And when you don't trust yourself, it becomes hard to dream big, because deep down you know you won't do what it takes. Disciplined choices rebuild that trust. When you say, I'll get up, and you do, something changes inside you. When you say, I won't eat that, and you stick to it, you grow stronger. When you tell yourself, I'm going to finish this, and you finish it, your self-respect increases. That's what discipline really is, small victories that reinforce your belief in yourself. And belief is the foundation of everything. People often think of discipline as external, rules, restrictions, routines. But real discipline is internal. It's the quiet voice inside that says, you deserve better than this when you're about to quit. It's the inner compass that keeps you on track when no one's watching. It's not about punishment, it's about pride. Pride in the life you're building, pride in the example you're setting, pride in knowing you're giving your best, not just for results, but because it's who you are. Living with discipline isn't about being perfect. It's about being intentional. It's about making choices that align with your values, not your cravings. It's about saying, I matter enough to make this decision count. That kind of discipline creates a different kind of confidence, not the loud, arrogant kind, but the steady, quiet kind that comes from living with integrity. You look at yourself in the mirror and know, I'm doing what I said I'd do. I'm living like someone who deserves the life they want. And this affects more than just your personal goals. It impacts your relationships, your career, your mindset. People respond to you differently when they see that you respect yourself. They see the way you carry yourself, the standards you live by, the way you don't cut corners. That respect you have for yourself becomes contagious. It sets the tone for how others treat you. It shows them that you're not someone who can be talked out of your values, swayed by pressure, or distracted by nonsense. You're someone who's grounded, someone who leads themselves well. The opposite is just as true. When you live without discipline, you send a message to yourself and to the world, I'm not serious about my goals. My comfort is more important than my growth. I'd rather feel good now than succeed later. Over time, that message gets internalized. It becomes part of your identity. You start to expect less from yourself. And when you expect less, you get less. But it doesn't have to be that way. Self-respect isn't something you either have or don't. It's something you build. And every choice is an opportunity. Every time you push through resistance, you build self-respect. Every time you delay gratification, you reinforce discipline. Every time you do the hard thing because it's the right thing, you become stronger. And that strength doesn't just help you succeed, it helps you feel proud of who you are. A disciplined life is a life of standards. Not standards forced on you by others, but standards you choose because you know you're worth it. Standards that say, I don't settle. I don't take the easy way out. I'm committed to becoming more. That kind of life doesn't just create results, it creates a person you're proud to be. And that is the truest form of self-respect. So remember, discipline is the quiet force that turns dreams into reality. It's not about waiting for motivation or seeking comfort. It's about showing up every day, making the right choices, and honoring the commitment you've made to yourself. When you build discipline, you build self-respect, momentum, and ultimately, success. The road may be long, but every small, consistent step moves you closer to the life you desire. Don't wish it were easier. Wish you were better, V.